What time is it? At this time, if there are any other requests to speak, please fill out your form in the lobby. Request to speak is now closed if you haven't filled out your form. Good, good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Mrs. Richards, roll call.
Yes, President Schultz, let the record show that all 5 board members are present.
Thank you. Please join me in a moment of silence and Pledge of Allegiance. I move that we approve the agenda.
Seconded.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Mrs. Richards, Superintendent report.
Yes, thank you, President Schultz. Here is another segment of Higley Adventures. Tonight, I'm going to hold this there. Tonight, we want to recognize Bridges Elementary. They recently collected 1,500 food items for the House of Refuge in Gilbert. We are so thankful that Higley supports our local community. Way to go, Higley, and way to go, Bridges. And this is part of our Higley Helps Portrait of a Graduate initiative. All right, here we go. Mandarin teachers Jay Shin, Shuang, and Pana Leatherby were recently awarded the Arizona Chinese Teacher Milestone Award by the mayors of both Gilbert and Chandler and the United Chinese Association of Arizona. This was for their dedication to teach Mandarin and inspire students in Arizona public schools. There were a total of 9 teachers recognized, with 2 of those being from HUSD. We are proud of our thriving Mandarin program, and this is so supported by Jay Shin and Pana. And when I go through these, if somebody's in the audience, stand up and wave. In a minute, I know somebody's here that's getting recognized. So I don't have Pana or Jay Shin here, do I? Okay. All right. This is the person that is in the audience. A special recognition for Higley High's teacher, April French. She was honored this year at this year's State Thespian Festival as the Arizona Thespian Teacher of the Year for the East Region. This award is presented annually to a teacher who demonstrates exceptional courage and devotion to the performing arts program at a school. It is a prestigious honor that recognizes the best of the best within their ranks. The Arizona Thespian Executive Board considers many factors in choosing the recipient of this award, including years of service, leadership, and character. Ms. French's ability to encourage Higley High's theater program to be one of the best in the state set her apart from all other candidates. So congratulations, April. This fall, 2 HUSD teachers were recognized by the Arizona Language Association as outstanding world language teachers. These individuals are Williamsville's Allison Locke and Coronado's Li Jiao. They were each awarded an engraved plaque, which was presented during the Zella Fall Conference. Allison and Li Ji were nominated by our modern and dual language instructional coach, Rebecca Rodriguez. Are Allison and Li Ji in the audience? I know a principal's in the audience. So Ms. Locke is a Spanish teacher at Williamsville High School and was recognized for her outstanding secondary work with students. She is an excellent team player and also a leader on campus. She's always working to improve herself and her professional skills for the benefits of students. Li Ji is the Mandarin 4th grade teacher at Coronado Elementary. She was recognized for her outstanding elementary work. She is always striving to improve her instruction and her collaboration with her team, and leading in any way she can. She is also a great advocate for cultural competency and works tirelessly to teach both content and language with a constant background of culture. Her students learn and grow as she holds them in high standards and creates an amazing learning environment. Oops, go back. All right, next, this is Williamsfield High School senior Tyler Bubella. He was invited to the Navy Academy's Candidate Weekend in Maryland, October 12th through the 14th. Candidate Visit Weekend is a program aimed to expose candidates to all facets of life in the Naval Academy and offers opportunities to sample university-level academics. This program is offered by invitation only. In addition, Tyler was invited this past summer to the Naval Academy's summer seminar. Is Tyler in the audience? All right, well, congratulations to Tyler. The National Merit Scholarship Program is an annual academic competition among high school students for recognition and college scholarships that began in 1955. Names of semifinalists and commended students for 2024 were recently released, and Higley High and Williamsville students were, of course, on the list. Higley High students included Bianca Dotson, Caleb Ladderbach, Grant Olson, Gabriella Schottmeyer, McKenna Sharp. The Higley High semifinalists were Mason Osborne, Cutter Rinalden, and Jennifer White. If you're in the audience, wave real big. We'll cheer you on. Let's give them a hand for this amazing. Here are the Williamsfield High School students who were recognized by the National Merit Scholarship Program. Our students are Ryan Huynh and Case Curtis, not pictured. We also have semifinalist William Robinson. We are proud of these students and wish them well. Are you guys in the audience? But let's give them a hand. Okay, that's it for Higley Adventures. Okay, ready? Ready for Points of Pride.
Yes, thank you for sharing all those wonderful accomplishments of all our teachers. I think it's Booyah Bridges too, right?
Say it
Booyah
again.
Bridges, is that right?
Booyah.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. All right. Okay, we're ready for Points of Pride at this time. I need Rachel Broadley and Matt Burville. They are the administrators from Centennial Elementary. Thank you.
All right, give us 1 second. We'll be quick. Sorry. All right, so we have the honor to recognize individuals from our campus tonight, so we're super excited. So when you hear your name, come on up, and are we keeping everybody up here for the whole? Okay, perfect. And then we'll do a photo, and then at the end, we're going to run outside and take group photos together. So we're going to start with our certified staff. This one goes to Miss Crystal Smith, so come on up. Crystal Smith is our Points of Pride Award recipient because of her commitment, dedication, and passion that she puts into everything she does at Centennial. Crystal serves as a Stuco advisor and on our TPS design committee. She is also actively involved in the student culture committee and often steps up to tackle various tasks such as creating inclusive character lesson plans that celebrate diversity and organizing our student crew structure. As a teacher, Crystal is known for creating a fun and supportive environment where students feel safe taking risks in the classroom, working collaboratively to problem solve, and dig deep into the science standards. Students often come back to visit Crystal because she is a teacher who impacts their lives and leaves a lasting impression. If you've ever seen our Welcome Back assemblies, Crystal is the mastermind behind our amazing choreographed dance moves. I just wish she could make us all look better. I want to look like she does when she dances. I just don't have the rhythm. As a colleague, we appreciate Crystal's trustworthiness and willingness to do whatever it takes to get the job done. So thank you, Crystal.
Yeah, she always puts the slide thing, and I have 2 left feet, so that's not always fun. We'd like to move on to our student, our 6th grade, Avery Gruber. Come on up. She was nominated by several teachers, so I'd like to read what one of those teachers had shared with us. Avery is a hardworking, kind, and responsible student. She can sit next to any student and make them feel important and welcome. Avery is always willing to help others, especially when we're working with partners and in groups, and is kind and patient with everyone. Towards her teachers, she shows willingness to participate and complete her best work. She is sweet, soft-spoken, and truly exemplifies what it means to be a Centennial Cardinal. We are very proud of you, Avery. Okay, we'd like to recognize our classified staff, Ms. Deidre Salcedo. So I'll read what we wrote, but just in a nutshell, it takes a lot of people to make a school be successful and run the way it should, and we all know that we're not always all there, and when we're not, we need people to step up, and man, did she ever this year. Deidre is our Points of Pride recipient this year because of her flexibility in taking on additional tasks and working with and supporting students outside of her caseload. This year, Deidre was slated to work with 5th and 6th grade students within our resource program, but has recently started working with our kinder students. When she was approached with this change in her schedule, she accepted that challenge with a smile and a willingness that shows her adaptability and commitment to our program, and especially the needs of our students. We appreciate Deidre's sense of teamwork and dedication to our students in school. Thank you so much.
All right, and finally, the guy that puts a lot of, makes us amazing and doesn't get paid for it is our volunteer, Mr. James Quinn, so come on up. James is truly a joy to be around. He currently serves on our PTO executive board as the treasurer and used his expertise and background to effectively track our finances as well as to help us think creatively about options to enhance how we serve our school community. He is quick-witted and keeps everyone in stitches with his sharp sense of humor, which makes coming to the PTO meetings so much fun. James consistently volunteers his time during our Fun Friday donut sales, as well as at other school events. He has become a well-known face around campus, and we are so grateful for the love and support he pours into our school. So thank you. All right, you guys are all right, and before we take our photo, we're going to see who came out here to support everybody besides our Centennial crew. So, Crystal, who'd you bring here?
My husband and my 2 kids, Gavin and Gracelyn.
And Miss Avery, who did you bring tonight?
My mother.
And Miss Deidre, who did you bring tonight?
I brought my husband, Len, and my daughter, Sienna.
And James, who did you bring tonight?
I have my wife and my mother-in-law here, and also my daughter, Katie, who's a student at centennial, and my son Peter.
Thank you, guys. All right, ready?
Next, we want to invite Lindsay Reeves, she's the AP at Santan Elementary, to recognize her points of pride. So we may give them a minute to, yeah.
For their photos. You can get them that. They only have 2 here. So that's the student. Okay, got it. Student. Thank you all for having us here tonight. Mr. Mercado, unfortunately, is under the weather, so he sends his congratulations. And I get to talk about all the wonderful people at Santan. And I am going to start with our amazing Miss Layla Peterson. So normally at Santan, this is when I hand over the microphone to Layla. So I'm going to go ahead and hold it tonight, but tomorrow morning it's right back to you. Layla is our student body president at Santan. This girl, she's kind, dependable, positive, and just an all-around great student leader. She recently led our school-wide assembly, and she's even taken the microphone role away from Mr. Mercado. And those of you at Santan and around, you know that's a big accomplishment. So she's a dynamic presenter. We love her leading it. The student body enjoys her listening to her stories, how she facilitates everything. This girl will do great things when she goes on to the secondary level and beyond, and watch out world, because she's coming. And her teacher quoted her as, she's an amazing and kind person. So congratulations, Layla, and thanks for all you do. And this is for you. You got a lot of people here with you tonight.
I brought my mom, my dad, my little brother Blazer, my older brother Graham, my little brother Huxton, my little sister Cora, and then I also brought my grandma Farnsworth, and I also brought my grandpa Farnsworth and my grandma Farnsworth, and I also brought my Nana.
She's got a packed house. All right. Then next up, we have our classified staff member, Brittany Gilbert. Come on up, Brittany. Brittany is an amazing staff member. She is a positive, supported member of our front office. She is calm and positive in every encounter that she has with all of our stakeholders. She's professional, positive, supported. She truly does her part to make our front office positive, inviting, and run smoothly. So we appreciate everything you do, Brittany. And one of her colleagues was quoted as, she has worked hard learning her job and is pleasant to everyone all at the same time. She has a stressful job working with lots of different people, parents, staff, teachers, district and representatives, and she never loses her cool, which is awesome. As our registrar and our attendance clerk, she deals with tons of people every day, and we just always appreciate her calm, kind heart, and she gets the job done. So thank you, Brittany. Who did you bring with you tonight?
I have my husband here, and then my mom, my dad, my sister, my brother-in-law, and then my mother-in-law is over there, and then all of our Santan family.
Oh, and there's your certificate. So Now, our other 2 points of pride are also under the weather tonight, and they are watching live at home. So I told them to tune in to hear all the great things that we appreciate about them. So we have Miss Megan Manasco, who is our certified staff member that we're recognizing tonight. Megan's a difference maker on our campus. She daily brings all she has to connect, engage, and inspire all of her students. She's a team player and always willing to lend a hand in any capacity she can to support students, staff, and the overall school. Megan's a wealth of knowledge, and she's willing to help in any way that she can. She dedicates her days to help her students and the teachers of Santan. So, Megan, get better. We need you back, and thank you for all you do. And then our volunteer is Mr. Brett Hayen. And I'm going to have to read this one because it's got a lot of technical terms on it. He volunteers his time weekly, if not daily, to assist our robotics program at Santan. He's knowledgeable and passionate about the program and enjoys helping the kids understand the dynamics of gear ratios, coding programs, and robot construction. Brent gives not only multiple days a week to basically helping run the technical and construction side of the robotics program, but he can also be found every Saturday that there's a tournament as the tournament manager. He is encouraging and supportive and frequently guides and facilitates teams towards success. He was also stated, Brent has been volunteering his time to help with robotics team for years. He lends his knowledge and helps kids learn new things. He goes to competition, helps with all the equipment, and he's just an incredible volunteer that makes a positive impact with our students and on campus. So thank you, Brent.
Okay, are you ready? Yes. All right, President Schultz, upcoming events. This Friday is the school visit to Chaparral Elementary. We hope you all can join us. I know they're ready because I've been hearing rumors about how great it's going to be. Also, who's looking forward to Thanksgiving? Everybody? Next week, the 23rd and the 24th. And then our next governing board meeting will be at 5 p.m. here in the district office on December 13th. That concludes upcoming events.
Thank you, Mrs. Richards. My favorite part of the meeting, for sure. Thank you. Okay, request to speak. We value input from our constituents. This time on our agenda has been set aside for anyone from the audience who wishes to address the board. Those that wish to speak should have filled out speaker cards, which are due prior to the start of the meeting. Members of the board may not discuss, comment, or take action on matters that are not specifically identified on the agenda. Therefore, pursuant to ARS 38-431.01I, action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, responding to any criticism, or scheduling the matter for further consideration and decision at a later date. Also, we ask the audience members to practice proper public meeting decorum, refraining from either negative or positive responses, including clapping or verbal outbursts to ensure fairness to all points of view. Those that refuse to follow these rules will be asked to leave, in accordance with policy BDH, public participation at board meetings if considered necessary. The governing board president shall set a time limit to the length of the comment period. In order to ensure that each individual has an opportunity to address the board, the president may also set a time limit for individual speakers. Thank you for your cooperation. Due to the number of speakers tonight, given our agenda and the number of people requesting to speak, we will be limiting the length of comment period to 46 minutes. In addition, in order for all individuals to have an opportunity to address the board, the time limit for individual speakers is now set at 2 minutes. Prior to this, I want to just, as a point of clarification, the executive session requested regarding power rants was previously resolved with our attorney in executive session. Our first speaker is Mrs. Mindy Brocker.
To speak with you today. I do have a concern that has recently come to light, and I hope you will listen and investigate further. It's my understanding that one of our coaches has been offering extra practice to his team outside of school hours at the local LDS meeting house just outside of Williams Field. Please let me say this is a generous offer for which I understand that his athletes are very grateful. As a parent, community members supporting our schools in this fashion is normally a wonderful thing. However, as has been related to me, this coach is overstepping, and we should all be very concerned. First, I have heard that this coach invites adult missionaries from the community to play as opposing teams. This brings unvetted adults, mainly men 18 to 24 years old, to interact closely with our teen athletes. This is extremely inappropriate if parents are not informed. Second, I'm told that at the end of practice without parental consent, the athletes are required to attend a 15-minute religious study, including reading from the Book of Mormon, devotionals, and prayer. I believe this is an egregious violation of the Arizona Parental Bill of Rights, where, I'm summarizing ARS 1602, it states, all parental rights are exclusively reserved to a parent of a minor child, including the right to direct the moral or religious training of the minor child. I always try to give our staff the benefit of the doubt, and perhaps this is considered extra practice, and the coach didn't think this to be inappropriate. But the secretive nature of this religious study, where parents are not fully informed, and parents and students are not given the opportunity to opt out of the religious training, is absolutely out of bounds. However, it is in no way fair to yoke athletic opportunity for HUSD athletes and additional coaching opportunities from HUSD coaches only to those athletes willing to endure proselytizing. This excludes students from other or no religions, from team building and athletic improvement. I hope you'll investigate the matter further and take appropriate action to assure parents and volunteers will not be using HUSD team sports to indoctrinate athletes into a coach's preferred religion.
Thank you. Mr. Adam Brocker, excuse me.
Thank you very much. I'm going to repeat reading a statement from Barbara Summers, who has some sick family members. First, I wanted to express my thanks over the inclusion of parents in the community in the superintendent search. I went into the in-person session and rallied some friends to join and loved being able to share our thoughts and wishes with the group. I also loved hearing from the rep that she had just had a group of Higley students in the morning to do the same. I know I can't say it enough, but I want to see the board and district administration include more student advisory committees and parent and advisory committees, so this made my comments and asks feel validated. I appreciate the district and board taking the time to listen and to be inclusive in these matters. Second, and it feeds right into the first topic. I am so thrilled to see agenda items 6.2 and 7.2 on tonight's agenda. As I said above, I have been asking for this for years, and while we have had committees and some smaller aspects, I am so glad to see a more formal advisory committee. I did have a concern over the inclusion guidelines and would ask that you open it up to the parents of HUSD students who might not live within our boundaries, as school choice is such an important topic, and we have so many amazing parents who choose to send their children to our schools and are active, positive participants within our district community, even if they are unable to vote in some of the elections that affect our district. I know so many who have worked tirelessly on things like our bond committees, elections, volunteering in our schools, etc., and it would be a shame to leave their voices out. Some of these individuals are far more involved than the bulk of the parents who do live in our district. Also, with at least one board member with a student who is of age to attend one of our amazing schools and chooses to send them to another district. It feels like the board should take into account those who are actively using and loving all that our district offers. Thank you.
Thank you. Taylor Francis.
Madam President and members of the board, I'm a parent of 2 HUSD students discontented with the proficiency level of the district's core curriculum scores. In fiscal year 22, 1 of every 3 students is not proficient in mathematics and English language arts, and 2 of every 3 students are not proficient in science. In a classroom of 30, 20 students are incompetent in science. Every meeting I hear board members questioning science camps, conference for teachers, software, books, and a host of other resources, which include controversial topics from highly partisan and ideological groups, only to be responded with the feckless and trifling blanket statement of, trust our administrators, trust our teachers, they will stay within standards. Madam President and members of the board, I'm sorry. I cannot simply accept this statement when 60% of your school cannot pass a science test. And to say other districts in the state face similar numbers is fallacious and dismissive. You are here to represent and answer for your students in your district. I would love for my own children to go to overnight science camps. I think it would be a wonderful opportunity. I wish I had such possibilities when I was a youth, but perhaps we should be focusing more on the core basics like passing a simple math, English, or science test. I would ask that you demand the same results of your school administrators and teachers that the taxpayers demand of you. Be excellent in spite of the rest of the state. You owe it to your students.
Ms. Kathleen Richards.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I wanted to start off by saying thank you to whatever team it is that organizes I believe their quarterly meetings. I had the opportunity to attend the last one that was done on drugs and what it is that you should be looking out for as parents. And I had the opportunity to speak with the counselor who works here at the district level after the meeting because I had a ton of questions. And she was very patient and gracious to answer all of those and point me in the right directions. I would encourage those that are watching, those that are here, because there's goodness gracious, to attend as many of these as you possibly can because they're incredibly informative. And as a mother of a sixth grader and a third grader, there were things that I just simply didn't think of, that I didn't know, and my kids are actively dealing with in elementary school. And I think sometimes as elementary parents, we put blinders on and think the worst thing is, someone's kicking sand on me on the playground or something akin to that. And that simply isn't the world that we live in now. The other thing that I wanted to address quickly is that I am a little bit concerned here within the district about communication. Over the last several months, and I would even say over the last year or so, there have been several incidents or larger issues within the district where the rumor mill goes like that. And it is quick and it is cruel and it is often incorrect. And it is something that could be gotten out in front of. And I think it is really important. And I'm talking about rumors about board members meeting with teachers outside of this arena, which would be inappropriate. I'm talking about academic inappropriateness. I'm talking about all sorts of things that really, if we could increase the amount of communication while balancing the things that you need to have discretion about. But I see other districts doing it, and I hope Higley can do a little bit of a better job going forward. Thank you.
Please refrain from clapping. As a reminder, there's no clapping during the board meeting. Thank you. Mrs. Latham. And next after that will be Heather Bach, so we can just have the next person ready to go. Balsh, I'm sorry, Heather Balsh.
Good evening, President Schultz, members of the board. I'm grateful for the opportunity to address you all today with something positive. I'm a proud parent of 2 young girls in Higley District, and my heart is full of gratitude for the incredible educators who have played a role in their lives. My husband and I feel truly fortunate that each step of our daughter's educational paths have been guided by remarkable teachers. Not only have our girls excelled both socially and academically, but we have also found a second family in Higley. Today, I want to take a moment to express our heartfelt appreciation for each of the dedicated teachers who have been instrumental in shaping our daughter's education. To Mrs. Campuzano and Mrs. Mayanfor at Cooley Preschool. Thank you for taking such great care of our girls. Your classes truly made their time at Cooley special and laid a beautiful foundation for their education. To Mrs. Ebersol and Ms. Pasquale at HGA, thank you for teaching our Lily how to read and fostering her love for books. We love being your pen pals and staying in touch. To Ms. Peterson, Mrs. Dutiel, Mrs. Roberts, Ms. Myers, and Ms. Alameda at Gateway Point, thank you for creating such a positive, inspiring, and inclusive environment. This has meant the world to us. We are impressed with all the opportunities you are providing our girls. They are thriving, and we could not do it without you. In addition to being a mother, I also serve as an instructional coach here in the district for the secondary math teachers. And I want to also take a moment to share my appreciation for and celebrate their incredible dedication and passion for teaching. While I cannot individually thank all 70 plus of the teachers that I work with, I want to express my gratitude for their commitment to our students. Our math teachers are lifelong learners. Attending local and national math conferences like NCTM, they fearlessly embrace new approaches, setting a powerful example for our students. What's even more remarkable is their collaborative spirit among our math teachers. They share ideas, support one another, and contribute to a learning community that benefits both them and, most importantly, our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And next up after will be Mr. William Blankenship.
Good evening. My name is Heather Balsh, and I am happy to be here tonight. Thank you for having me. I just wanted to take a moment and tell you that in preschool last week, we celebrated our veterans. It was very exciting to see all of the photos of our family members that were posted in our school. Our students made cards to give to veterans, and we invited them in for coffee and donuts last Thursday morning. So that was really fun. Thank you to all of the veterans that we have. I'm also very excited about the Citizens Committee. I think that diversifying perspectives within our community can enhance engagement and foster rich exchange of ideas and experiences, and I would love to be considered for this committee. Thank you.
After Mr. Blankenship will be Ms. Lauren Considine. I apologize. I believe I didn't say that correctly, but. You're good to go. Thank you, Mr. Blankenship.
Howdy, folks. So I feel like we've kind of uncovered a pretty serious problem in the school district this week, and it's a lack of communication and a lack of transparency. My school currently doesn't have a principal. I wasn't told that by the school district. I don't know how long he's been gone, and I have no idea why he left. And I think at the end of the day, this institution's built on trust. We as parents, we trust you with our children, and ultimately I feel like you are responsible to us, the parents, and that only works when you communicate with us. And I feel like I've been told, and it's my understanding that when we see silence like this, it's generally on the advice of legal counsel. In most cases, I feel like that's a reasonable trade-off, but when it comes to a school district is really no place for secrets. And I feel like your increased exposure to legal liability really should take a back seat to us as parents feeling safe sending our kids to school tomorrow. So I feel like I have 3 explicit requests today. The first is if you were in fact given legal counsel to keep secrets from parents, I would ask that you reconsider that legal advice, because anybody who's promoting the idea of keeping secrets from parents really has no place in they don't have a place in our community. I feel like as parents, we want to know, one, that you know what happened, so we don't know that. Know that you know what happened, that you are working on figuring out how and why it happened, and you are doing the due diligence necessary to prove to us that you are trying to keep it from happening again. And instead of communicating that to us, you have shown us that no matter what the issue is, we are going to get silence. It doesn't matter if an instructor gets caught selling drugs in a classroom, you're not going to tell us. If a teacher is abusing a student, you're not going to tell us. No matter what it is, you're not going to tell us. And as a parent, that is terrifying. And that is not a room I can send my children into. So I'm here demanding, I'm glad you said you figured it out with the attorney. I'm demanding that moving forward, we adopt a position of radical transparency and proactive communication with parents, because a school district is no place for secrets. And anybody who is promoting the idea of keeping secrets from parents, you don't have a place in our community.
Thank you. I know, I'm going to ask you one more time, and we'll just remove you from the audience. We can't continue to have disruptions.
Good evening. I have been a proud member of the Power Ranch family for almost a decade. I stand before you today with a broken heart to express my concerns and lack of trust in both the school board and the district's decision-making process. The recent news of the forced resignation of our beloved principal, Chris Reuter, has cast a shadow of doubt over the integrity of the decisions made by the district and its governing body. Chris Reuter is an innovative leader, a source of inspiration, and the unifying force within our school community. Power Ranch truly is a family, and this is due in large part to Mr. Reuter's leadership. He has tirelessly worked to create an inclusive and supportive atmosphere where every student and staff member feels valued and heard. Mr. Reuter is not merely an administrator, he is a mentor, a role model, and our biggest cheerleader. The open door policy that he has maintained allows students and staff to voice their concerns, ideas, and suggestions, creating an atmosphere of collaboration and mutual respect. The various programs and initiatives Mr. Reuter has spearheaded, such as the House system and Wednesday electives, have not only elevated our students' academic success as seen by our A rating, but also instilled a sense of pride and unity among students, teachers, and parents alike. How this decision was handled has left many of us feeling alone, confused, and angry. It has caused us to question the transparency and accountability of the school board and the district. We have been told over and over again that we are valued, respected, and supported, but actions speak louder than words. Our concerns extend beyond the removal of our principal. They also include a deep unease about the decision-making processes and the priorities of the school board and the district. Our community has been told that HUSD believes in transparency, open communication, and collaboration, which are essential elements of a successful district. However, for almost a month now, we, the teachers and staff of Power Ranch, have been left to field unanswerable questions from parents and students while we try to keep a smile on our faces and show up for our students, which we have done amid lies, rumors, and ridicule. I urge the school board to reflect on the gravity of this situation. I ask you to consider the overwhelming support from students, parents, and staff members who believe in Mr. Reuter's vision and leadership. I implore you to reconsider the decision regarding Mr. Reuter, but more importantly, I call on the school board to commit to a more transparent and inclusive decision-making process that rebuilds the trust we once had in our district leadership.
Thank you.
We are Panthers.
Thank you.
Panthers are proud.
Ms. Lindsay Taylor is next, and then we have Ms. Carrie Edwards.
My name is Lindsay Taylor Reuter. These are my daughters' photos, Savannah Reuter and Brielle Reuter. Savannah is a 5th grader at Power Ranch Elementary. She's an honor roll student, secretary on student council, plays in the school band, and is on the robotics team. Brielle is a 2nd grader. She's an exceptional student, a role model, a Power Ranch cheerleader for the 3rd year in a row, and is currently playing her 4th season of HUSD soccer. These are the types of children you want growing up in your school district, yet these girls will not be growing up as Higley students due to the concerning and unwarranted actions being taken to remove Mr. Reuter, their father, from Power Ranch Elementary. Additionally, the disgusting accusations being made by members in the community about their father have created a nightmare situation of lies and rumors which have damaged his reputation. What would you say to Savannah and Brielle when someone asks you about the names their father is being called? How would you tell them that they're gonna have to move schools away from their teachers and friends who love them because of this situation? We wish you would have spoken out to help clear Chris's name, since HUSD knows the truth about the horrible rumors. Even still, the damage is done. But I'd rather speak about Chris as a leader and a principal. Being married to Mr. Reuter for over a decade, I know his morals and character better than anyone. I've witnessed firsthand his tireless dedication to his career, and more specifically, Power Ranch Elementary. He spends long hours, early mornings, evenings, weekends, pouring into his work, answering calls, returning emails, putting in sweat equity to make his campus a safe place to learn. I often would jest that I was a Power Ranch widow. That's how much he loved his community. He's beloved by an overwhelming majority of staff, students, and parents, and it makes me lose some hope in humanity that the minority of disgruntled voices are being listened to and valued more than the enormous amount of love and support that Chris has. But my hope in humanity is restored slightly when I look around this room and see all the support that he has. These people are demanding that their voices are heard as well, and they're willing to share truth and shed light into what feels like a very dark place right now. I hope you'll take to heart the words that are spoken here tonight. Chris does not deserve what is happening to him, and Power Ranch doesn't deserve to lose a leader like Chris.
Mrs. Edwards. We're going to have to end public comment. If we continue, listen, I've asked for order. Well, listen to me. We've asked for order several times, so we need you to remain so we can keep order, and we will listen to everybody, but we have asked several times for you to stop clapping and cheering. I understand your passion, and I understand what you want to say, but we're going to have to end public comment if we continue like this. Mrs. Edwards.
Those conjecturing about what Mr. Reuter did or did not do obviously don't actually know him if they think he would ever knowingly put a student in harm's way. Mr. Reuter deeply cares about every single one of his students, not just as test scores, but as well-rounded human beings. The time, effort, and care he puts into the students who need it the most is astounding, but he makes sure to support and encourage every student on campus. He supported Ms. Considine in bringing a mindfulness room to campus so that students have somewhere safe to calm down and learn coping strategies instead of exploding and ending up in the office. He led an assembly about sportsmanship earlier this year that my first graders still refer to on a regular basis. He established electives so that students could explore new talents and hobbies. He built in dear time to help encourage kids to read for just pure enjoyment. He established the house system to build connections and encourage children to show character traits like perseverance, kindness, and integrity. Integrity is important to Chris Reuter. Every time he does the morning announcements, he ends with a reminder to do the right thing, even when no one is watching. I wish that all of the people who hold Chris Reuter and Power Ranch's fate in their hands cared about integrity. I wish that our board members would do the right thing even when no one is watching, instead of having secret private meetings with disgruntled former employees. I wish the district would do the right thing and issue a statement clearing Chris Reuter's name instead of letting rumors and gossip control the narrative. I wish the district cared about their current employees and families. If you look around the room, the message is clear. We support Chris Reuter.
Miss Victoria Bruick is next, and then after that we have Mr. Christopher Hilfiger.
It is with a heavy heart and a sense of duty that I address you regarding the recent discussions surrounding the potential dismissal of our esteemed principal, Chris Reuter. But more importantly, I am here because of my commitment to standing up for what's best for my students. That is why I became an educator, and myself and all Power Ranch educators always keep the needs of our students at the forefront. I mention this because it seems that focus has been lost during the recent events. Chris Reuter has consistently displayed a deep understanding of the diverse needs of our student body. He has implemented innovative strategies to address these needs, fostering an environment where every student feels valued and has the opportunity to thrive. Some of the examples that you've heard already are the elective program, the house system, the mindfulness room. The results speak for themselves, with improved academic performance and a positive impact on the overall school climate. Power Ranch is an A-rated school. That all comes down to Chris's leadership. I implore the school board to carefully consider the broader impact of this dismissal. The potential consequences extend beyond the loss of an outstanding leader. It has the potential to also erode the morale of the entire school community. Let me repeat that. The potential consequences extend beyond the loss of an outstanding leader. It has the potential to erode the morale of the entire school community. Stability and leadership is paramount for the well-being of our students and the sustained success of our institution. I am proud to share that I have been at Power Ranch for 7 years, and the reason I am still here is because of Chris Reuter and the climate and culture he has supported. This decision will jeopardize the invaluable contributions Chris Reuter has worked so hard to make in our community. I cannot explain the polar opposite mood that has been on our campus for the last few weeks. Let us continue to work together to build upon the foundation of excellence that has been laid and to ensure a bright and promising future for our school. We appreciate your willingness to listen to our various voices who are concerned about our students.
Thank you, Mr. Hilfiger. And then after Mr. Hilfiger, we have Ms. Laura Garcia.
I'm Chris Hilfiger. I'm not going to take a lot of your time. Teaching is a second career for me. I have worked a lot of jobs. I've worked for a lot of people. And a lot of the people that I've worked for, I have not respected. And I've had to endure a lot of things. But when I came to Power Ranch, when I decided that I would be a teacher, I never expected to have Mr. Reuter be the person that I would have the privilege of working for. I respected Mr. Reuter with every single fiber of my being. I don't think I've ever respected a person more, actually. Anytime that I needed help, he would drop everything to just be there and do whatever needed to be done. I never questioned that. I never questioned his integrity, and I never questioned anything about Power Ranch. I felt home when I came there. And every day when I came to school, I felt home. Now I don't. I feel betrayed. I feel like the trust that I had, I feel like my home is broken. It's like, I just feel lost. And that's it.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia. After Ms. Garcia is Ms. Brenda Curry.
Good evening. I have been working for Higley Unified School District for 20 years. All those 20 years have been at Power Ranch Elementary. I was hired a year after Power Ranch opened up. I have seen the many changes, challenges, I've witnessed what this school has gone through each and every year. I have also witnessed how Mr. Reuter and Mrs. Cota have made Power Ranch what it is today. They are amazing leaders, role models. They are always there to listen, give feedback, or to support any staff members and students. They focus on the well-being of students and their teachers. Each year, they make it a priority to form positive relationships with not just staff, students, but also parents. I feel our district is lacking in a lot of those things that I just mentioned. But there's also a lack of communication and transparency. Power Ranch has been my second home for the last 20 years, and now it does not feel like home. The last 3 weeks I walk onto campus, I feel like I've entered a different place, and I shouldn't feel that way. Both of my kids have been in the Higley School District since kinder, and I never once doubted taking them to a different district because of the leadership that Mr. Reuter has had at Power Ranch. I want Power Ranch to feel like a home again, and the only way it's gonna happen is to have our principal back. Thank you.
Miss Brenda Curry, then followed up by Miss Lauren Wojcik.
I come before you not just as a staff member of this wonderful school, but as a parent that purposely brought their student to Power Ranch Elementary because of the leadership of Chris Reuter. Under that leadership, our staff and our students and our parents have felt supported. My student, the gains that he the challenges that he overcame at Power Ranch are a testament to Mr. Reuter's dedication to staff, students, and parents. I am supported as a staff member. I know that I could go to his office or approach him at any moment on that campus, and his time was mine. The students felt that. The staff felt that, the parents felt that. How a minority few have been allowed to override the voices of the many is unbelievable. I stand here with a broken heart for our staff, for our students, for our parents, for him and his family. It is disgusting what has happened. I am glad my student is not here anymore. He has graduated and moved on because I would remove him based on what has happened.
After Ms. Wojcik will be Ms. Joan Reuter.
Interim Superintendent, members of the governing board, executive directors of the district, you all are either employed or elected by the members of this community and have accepted or ran for such positions under the guise to advocate, lead, and provide support to school administration, teachers, staff, and most importantly, our children. In holding these positions, not only are you to be held accountable, but you are to lead with transparency and integrity. Leadership starts from the top. That is all of you. The interim superintendent, You are setting the tone and creating the path for all of Higley Unified School District. This district has failed to communicate timely, and it has been perceived as an effort to distance themselves from having to answer to the parents directly impacted by Principal Reuter being investigated and on leave at Power Ranch Elementary. This also includes Assistant Principal Michelle Cota, taking personal leave at a time when Power Ranch Elementary teachers needed her to step up and be their leader. Instead, she was a coward. Do those of you wearing red even know what you're supporting? We don't have any idea as to why he's on leave, why he was investigated. So the blind support for a staff member within a school district is also of high concern. While I can only speak for my husband and myself, I am sure there are also other parents out there that expect and demand that Assistant Principal Cota is also investigated for her conduct and her complacency as the right hand to Principal Reuter. The happenings that have come to be are a direct result of those in power or leadership. This includes the interim superintendent, board, teachers, and staff not saying something when they see something and being persistent to advocate for the children they seemingly work so hard for. This district knowing that an individual staff teacher or staff member failed to lead and not being accountable for having integrity should be fired, not given the option to be resigned.
Thank you. Ms. Lori Wilkerson, excuse me.
You said Joan Reuter.
Well, yeah, Ms. Lori Wilkerson will be up after Ms. Reuter.
Today, I had the opportunity to welcome 32 asylum seekers to the United States of America. They were here from different countries, from Colombia, Peru, Ecuador, Dominican Republic, and India, and Guatemala. They came here to seek a better life for themselves and their children. We gave them food, they had showers, they got new clothes and flights to their next homes in the United States. I'm hoping that their children will have the same opportunities that our children have, and I hope they get to go to a school district as awesome as Power Ranch Elementary School. This staff is more caring and loving, the teachers and the administrators, especially my son, Christopher Reuter. And I hope that they never get to witness such an ugly and insensitive board and superintendent.
After Ms. Wilkerson will be Ms. Tara Carr.
I'm presenting a paraphrase of a letter that was written by my daughter. She didn't feel like she could get through it. My grandchildren have attended Power Ranch Elementary since we moved to Arizona almost 6 years ago. Our oldest had some difficulties the first quarter of each school year from kindergarten through fourth grade. In fourth grade in particular, things went really badly, and my grandson ended up with an in-school suspension. At that time, my daughter went to Mr. Chris Reuter because she was so heartbroken and discouraged and didn't know where to turn. Mr. Reuter took the time to sit down with her and discuss strategies for my grandson, including offering to spend his time in counsel with my grandson if his parents chose that offer. My grandson turned the corner and receives nothing but accolades from his teachers. But his parents remember that point in time clearly, where they did not know where to turn, and Mr. Reuter was there for our family. We moved to Power Ranch with the express purpose of living in the same neighborhood as our school. We remember during the pandemic being overwhelmed by the fact that the staff at Power Ranch organized a parade around the community so they could drive by houses and encourage all the families that were holed up in their home. I'm sure Mr. Reuter led that charge. He has been present and heavily involved in every activity at the school, including working as a crossing guard every morning and every afternoon. We just wanted to share my family's experience with Mr. Reuter. What an incredible person he is. Our oldest son will be on his way to Sossaman after this year, but our youngest still has 3 more years at Power Ranch. He deserved the best. He deserved Mr. Reuter.
After Ms. Carr will be Mr. Hudson Horn.
I'm reading a letter from my daughter.
She's a sophomore in college at University of Utah. She says, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Brielle Carr. I was a part of the graduating class of 2022 and was a part of the Higley School District from 6th grade on. I was very involved with the school and was student body president in elementary, middle, and high school. While this may not seem relevant, I am including this to explain that I have always worked closely with every school's administration along with the district. While attending Power Ranch, Sherry Richards was the current principal of the school. However, I would argue that Mr. Reuter, as the vice principal, was more involved with the students and the school itself, seeing as Sherry Richards was transitioning to become the principal at Bridges Elementary. Even after I graduated from Power Ranch Elementary, I stayed in close contact with Mr. Reuter and the administration every year, helping with their student council, school fundraisers, carnivals, and more. For 7 years, I saw the impact that Mr. Reuter put forth, and I can confidently say that Mr. Reuter is the best principal I have seen in my entire life. Even though I did not get the honor of personally having him as my principal, he was one of the best leadership figures in my life. There's not a day that went by where Mr. Reuter did not give his all into that elementary school. For example, whenever I presented an idea for the school, he would help me accomplish it no matter how far-fetched it may have seemed at the time. This was very different from other administration I have worked with. No other teacher or leader has ever cared that much about my opinion or suggestions, but Mr. Reuter wants his students' voices to be heard and will fight for them when no one else will. Every single year, he fights for his 6th grade students to go to science camp. While science camp may not seem like a minuscule thing to many people, the administration, and the administrations in our district, it's one of the most memorable events of those kids. For those kids, many people don't see how special something like science camp is to the students, but Mr. Reuter does. Many people won't advocate for students' opinions of goals, but Mr. Reuter will. I don't doubt that every principal in this district cares for their students. I would be concerned if they didn't. However, Mr. Reuter takes it one step further. He cares for each and every one of his students, but he also knows each and every one of his students. I would not be who I am today without Mr. Reuter, and it pains me to think of my youngest sister not being able to finish elementary school without him, or all of the students at Power Ranch who thought of Mr. Reuter as a safe haven, not only the elementary students, but also the middle and high school students who will go back to visit him. Mr. Reuter is the best principal I've ever seen, and any school would be honored to have a principal even a quarter of the person that Mr. Reuter is.
Thank you. Mr. Hudson Horn, after Mr. Hudson Horn will be Ms. Erin Horn.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. I'm here tonight to speak in support of Mr. Reuter. My name is Hudson Horn, and I am the student body president at Power Ranch Elementary. Mr. Reuter makes our school a better place by making it fun, happier, kind, and a safe place to be. I'm not sure if you know this, but he knows all of the students' names. That's impressive if you ask me. Tonight, I would like to ask you, do you truly know Mr. Reuter? And if the answer to this question is no, or even if you think you know him, let me tell you how I know Mr. Reuter. I know him because of the legacy he has built at Power Ranch. I have had the honor and privilege to have him as my principal since 2nd grade when we first moved here. I know him through the students because the students at Power Ranch embody what he has taught us at our school, which is compassion, bravery, perseverance, honor, creativity, kindness, wisdom, and most importantly, integrity. Now, if Mr. Reuter can teach all of the students at Power Ranch to embody these foundational characteristics, I would like the board tonight to learn a lesson from me, a student at Power Ranch in the Higley Unified School District. That is to first have integrity when making your decision, and to remember that we as students cannot teach you integrity, but I can tell you this, quoting Zig Ziglar, integrity is the glue that holds life and business together. Please help us keep our trust in the board as we trust Mr. Reuter.
After Ms. Horn, I just have Jeff as after.
He wrote that all on his own. No help from Mom. Good evening. I am here for Mr. Reuter. He's a beloved figure in our community. He's admired, obviously, by students. And tonight, when Hudson spoke, he's speaking for the whole student body at his school as the president tonight. Unfortunately, Mr. Reuter has been the victim of gossip and slander. These rumors have been allowed to circulate without any context or proof, and they have caused Mr. Reuter great pain and suffering. I believe that the school district has a responsibility to protect its employees from this kind of abuse. The district should have come forward and defended Mr. Reuter, but instead it has remained silent. This silence is deafening, and it speaks volumes about the character of our school board. I'm deeply disappointed as a parent in the lack of leadership and willingness to allow Mr. Reuter to be dragged through the mud. I'm here tonight to ask the board to take action and make things right. I ask you to apologize to Mr. Reuter, to parents, to students who love and adore him, who look up to him. These rumors started with those from the district who have been harboring these rumors and have allowed them to get out of hand. And I ask the board to take a look at these individuals from the district and take proper disciplinary action. Our school district needs to do better. We need to create a culture of respect and integrity where rumors and gossip are not tolerated. This is bullying from the district to our beloved Mr. Reuter. We need to set a higher standard for our students, and we need to hold ourselves to that standard as well. So tonight, I urge you to please keep Mr. Reuter in his position as mother, who has seen my children learn and grow because of this wonderful school and because of our district. We can all be better. I believe in you. Please do not take away our Mr. Reuter. The students need him, and more importantly, the parents need him. Thank you very much.
After Mr. Jeff will be Miss Megan Wicks.
Good evening. I'm going to start by asking you to vote to table Mr. Reuter's resignation if you don't have a firm decision made tonight, and instead vote to reinstate Mr. Reuter as principal at Power Ranch. It's very easy these days to speak untruths, post them online, and watch where it goes. I could, for example, do that about the board member, Mrs. Van Hoek, about a group that she's a member of, right, and what they stand for in that group. Unfortunately, when those things happen, they get posted online. Most of what happens is we lose what the truth is. As a matter of fact, in this instance, with it, where it goes into a board member's home with only 2 of the board members by disgruntled teachers, unfortunately, that's not the way that we should be running our administration. Today, we're here to speak the truth about Mr. Reuter. I've known Mr. Reuter for 6 years now, since my daughter's been enrolled at Power Ranch. Not once, ever, have I heard or seen any sort of interaction or anything unethical, immoral, or unprofessional out of Mr. Reuter, ever, in 6 years. On the contrary, repeatedly I've seen examples of traits that you want to see in your principal: integrity, honesty, professionalism, and overall doing what's right. The board's received countless emails from his supporters. Please don't ignore them. We're showing a ton of people here tonight supporting Mr. Reuter. Please don't ignore us. I commend his supporters for being out here tonight. It's not easy to do. There's a ton more that wanted to be here tonight as well. I'm gonna leave you with a story. Power Ranch does a yearbook signing every single year. Last year it was at Peter Piper Pizza. Longest line of the night is always Mr. Reuter's. He gets writer's cramp at the end of the night because he puts a personal message to every kid out there. This is what he wrote to my daughter. Ellie, 4th grade is over. Wow. Thank you for being a leader in Miss Tway's class. I appreciate you doing the right thing and caring for others. Have a great summer and see you in 5th grade. Again, I'm asking you to table the vote on his resignation and reinstate him as principal at Power Ranch. Ms. Richards, thank you for wearing red tonight and supporting Mr. Reuter.
After Ms. Wicks, we have Mr. Chris Sexton.
I'm a parent of a past and present Power Ranch student, and this is not our first elementary. This is a second elementary for us as we moved into Power Ranch 2 years ago. I had a really good principal at our last school, but when I came to Power Ranch, I realized what a great principal is. And I can tell you by sharing my very first impression with him. It was back to school night, where we get to come, meet our teachers, and drop off our school supplies. We had to enter through one door at the gymnasium and exit through the back to keep the school secure. Mr. Reuter was at the front door greeting every single family that came in. I watched 20+ families in front of us be greeted, every kid, a hand slap, a knuckle, how was your summer? We got up to the front of the line, and he looked at my students, both my kids and us, and said, "You're new here." How did he know that we were new to that school. It's come to find out he knows every single student at that school. I was floored. I was amazed. He asked what my children's names were, what grade they were in, what teacher they had, where we moved from. He cared about them. And he proved throughout the entire school year, again, how much he cared about each of his students. At the end of the school year, the very last day, my kids wanted a picture taken with Mr. Reuter. That's what they cared about. He is an amazing principal. I ask that you do not take his resignation and you reinstate him. Thank you.
Isn't public discourse wonderful? Glad everybody's here tonight. In situations like this, it's important to speak truth. So I'd like to start out gently speaking a little bit of truth that has been borne out of thousands of years of recorded human history. It's this, that we've learned by sad experience that it's the nature and disposition of almost all people. As soon as they get a little bit of authority as they suppose, they will immediately begin to exercise unjust and unrighteous dominion over the people they suppose to be under their authority. When authority is unmoored from personal responsibility, people in positions of power cease to be leaders and begin to be tyrants. As they slip further into a false sense of superiority, they instigate suffering and chaos in those they were supposed to nurture, serve, and protect. So here's my opinion based on that truth. That abuse of power seems to be on display by members of the board in this district. It appears you've used the authority that people have trusted you with to carry out a vendetta against Mr. Reuter, a man, by the way, who was praised publicly by this district on October 11th as being a perfect or a great example of what a principal should be, and then sequestered days later without any explanation. Now, fortunately am in a position where I have the means and time to do an investigation of my own, and there seems to be enough abnormal behavior by this board to warrant asking the Arizona Attorney General's office to look into violations of the state's open meeting law, not limited to violations of the serial conversation clause. If you've abused the trust that the public has put in you, if you have torn down a good man out of spite or allegiance to personal friends and caused pain to the community of children for the sake of vengeance, then I invite you to change your behavior, to change your ways, forsake it, confess it, and make right the wrongs you've committed. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. That is all of our public comments. I don't know that if everyone heard me at the beginning, so I just want to make it clear. As a point of clarification, the executive session requested regarding Power Ranch previously was resolved prior to this meeting with our attorney in executive session. Mrs. Sanchez.
Madam President, and I apologize because I understand the audience wants answers. However, you really need to proceed with the agenda as it's listed to comply with open meeting law.
Thank you.
You just need to proceed with the meeting.
I'm going to clarify. Can I clarify? Give me just 1 second.
You can respond to criticism. Again, you can only really have discussion on what's on the agenda.
Okay, since this is on the agenda, and hopefully I'm in with my legal parameters, but the session requested previously is not a matter tonight. That matter was previously closed prior to anything investigation. It is not a matter. And
Madam President. Madam President, you need to just continue with the agenda.
Okay. I'm sorry. We need to continue with the meeting. Thank you.
Madam President, so the time for public participation and comment already has passed, and there are regulations and time limits that have already been abided by. And so,
Our time limit for public to speak is already passed, and I can no longer comment on any of this. Moving on to our consent agenda, I move that we approve consent agenda item 5.1 through 5.14.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Moving on to information item 2024 through 2025 course guides. Thank you. What? Yeah.
I don't think we took a vote. I thought we seconded moving to that agenda.
We're going to take a 5-minute recess. We will now resume the meeting.
I would ask Christine Zimmerman.
Moving on to 6.1, 2024-2025 course guides.
We did. I don't.
President Schultz, members of the board.
Mr. Latzenheiser, as soon as we quiet down the room, we'll continue. We need to return to the meeting. We ask that you take your seats or
Thanks, Shauna. President Schultz, members of the board, tonight we're going to go a presentation about the course guides. This is an information session about the course guides that we're proposing for the 2024-2025 school year. So for those of you who have never gone through a course guide process, I just want to let you know, here's what happens, and as we go through, the course guides represent the courses that we're going to offer at our secondary schools. And so this is a process that we start very, very early in the year. It might seem weird, but we start in August planning for the next year in terms of what we're going to offer. The final goal with this, with the December 13th action meeting for the course guides, is that they get approved so that we can do registration starting in January. But a lot of work goes into this, and I'm very proud of the team that does the work and follows the process. We start with our planning meeting on August 7th, and then we get information out to our sites on August 11th. On the 31st of August, our team met and we reviewed the 2023-24 course guide, the current one. Inevitably, I find some places where I might have had some typos and things, and they really enjoy pointing those out to me. But we go through the course guide to be able to look and say, what do we need to change for next year? Where do we need to show improvement? Sites send recommendations to our instructional coaches. That's due on September 12th. And then we review all of those recommendations through our instructional coaches. There's an extreme vetting process where the recommendations come in, and then as a team, we vet them to make sure that they're courses that we're able to offer in Higley and what's appropriate. On the 19th, that's when we reviewed it, and then we come together as a whole team on the 12th and the 26th. And the result of all of this work is what we're presenting to you today. I need to give a shout out. Nope, that's the wrong way. There we go. I need to give a shout out to the people who are involved in this because this is not an isolated process. Here at the district, members of this team include Craig Pearson, our Assistant Director for CTE, Mary Davis, our Assistant Director of Professional Development, Brian Campbell, our Student Information Systems Manager. I need to give a special shout out to Brian. He brings a very, very great perspective in terms of managing data and what we can do to inform our parents. And then Dina Morgan, our Assistant Director of Counseling. Instructional coaches are vital to this process, and the instructional coaches, once again, help and assist and vet the proposals that come through. Maggie Borzi for English, and this time Maggie did double duty as our social studies coach was out, so she also did social studies, so thank you, Maggie. Rachel Latham for math, Rebecca Rodriguez for our world language DLI program, Jeannie Ramirez, our instructional technology secondary coach, and Kim Morton for science. They do a lot of the heavy lifting, and I can't thank them enough for their leadership and their work in the course guide For site administration, we do the principal, the assistant principal in charge of curriculum, and the lead counselor. So you can see Alan Fields, Brian Bannock, and Kim Gallagher from Higley High, Dan Fox, Heather Wallace, and Amanda Johnson from Williamsfield. Mr. Dolan and I meet, and we go through the Higley Virtual Academy proposals. Then Chad Cantrell, Louisa Schwartz, and Colleen Crockett from Cooley Middle School, Bruce Potts, Brandon Keeling, and Tanya Savalas from Sossaman, and then our administrative McKenna Pugnetti, who puts everything together. So I'd just like to say, and if they're watching at home, thank you very much for all of your hard work and dedication into providing opportunities for our students. So when you look at the course guide, the first thing we need to do is we focus on providing meaningful opportunities for our students to succeed. And that is really our goal, is what opportunities can we give to our students. The course guide, our second goal is to continue to make our course guide easy to use and provide important information about courses and processes. Last year, we added a planning guide. We've added new flow charts to help parents understand. A lot of times in education, we know exactly what we're talking about, but our parents need a little bit more guidance. And our goal is to make this an easy-to-use document for parents to look at. We want to update language to reflect practice, and you'll see some changes that we're bringing tonight just because of how we do some different things in terms of prerequisites. So we're trying to update the language to reflect what we're currently doing. And then our process, we force communication between the schools on proposals. We want the people involved to have common communication, and so part of it is that both schools, either both middle schools or both high schools, have to sign off on any proposal that comes forward and have those conversations ahead of time so we're all on the same page and we make informed decisions about which proposals we accept and which proposals we deny. There are 4 course guides in Higley that we look at. Here you can see the covers. Thank you to McKenna Mattingly for designing our covers. For those of you who are not aware, the District 60 is actually the outline of our district. I know some people don't know that, and I just want to make sure that you can see that. Higley Unified District 60. That was for you, Tyler. Our high school special education course guide outlines the courses that our special education students use. These courses are not available for students to register. They're selected through the IEP process. But once again, a shout out to Shauna Miller and her team for putting this together so that we have a course guide that we can share with those parents to help guide when we make decisions within IEP meetings. We have our middle school course guide, our HVA course guide, and our high school course guide. Now, previous to this, all of the courses in the course guides have been approved and accepted on a yearly basis. And so when we look at this, what I do is I highlight and talk to you about the changes that we're making. Everything else has been previously approved. These we're now talking about the changes and the recommendations that this team is coming to provide for you for the course guide for the 24-25 school year. Once again, when approved, becomes active when we start registering students using these in January for implementation in July. So let's take a look at the major changes coming up from a high school course guide. Honestly, for those of you who were on the board 3 years ago, this presentation was much, much longer, and we had a lot of different changes that we went through. Over the past few years, we feel like we streamlined the process, and we feel like we're really providing awesome opportunities for students with all the different course choices that they have. When you talk about providing limitless opportunities, we really, for the size of our schools, provide so much already to our kids. And so you're not going to see a lot of new courses coming on because we already have a lot for our students to do. We have 2 new courses we're looking to add for the high school. First is our digital photography program has grown within CTE, and we're going to add the internship component to it. If you remember a few meetings ago, we had the yearbook from Williamsfield come. And one of the students is running his own company for photography, coming out of digital photography. This would be an opportunity that he could do the internship and earn credit then for what he's learned within his digital photography. Additionally, within CTE, we have Honors Aerospace Engineering. And I'm going to speak to that and speak to the course that we're removing, Honors Civil Engineering and Architecture. What we get when we get to our 4th year engineering courses is really dependent on the specialty of the teacher. There's not a lot of engineering teachers out there that can cover a broad spectrum of things. Our previous teacher at Higley High was involved, and his expertise was in civil engineering and architecture, which is why we're able to offer the course. We use Project Lead the Way curriculum for it. He left. We replaced him with someone who has aerospace expertise and specialty, which is why we're looking to add that, once again, using the project Lead the Way curriculum and courses. When we look at the removal of courses, there were 2 courses that I came to you a couple of years ago we looked to add as science electives, astronomy and oceanography. Unfortunately, the curriculum has not panned out the way that we wanted to, and so those courses are not going to be continued. And since we're not going to offer them at either campus, we're asking that we're going to remove them out of the book because they're not going to be offered. For the information updates, that's the first about 10 pages. An issue that we had this year was when people transferred in. When you come from an online institution, we will accept your credits from core credits if you have a proctored final exam. That is the process that we've done. Now we've made sure we've added that to our course guide so that when parents are looking, they have to understand they have to take and come from a school that has a proctored final exam. If they come from a school that does not and they want core credit, they have to challenge test to be able to go through that. But this is going to help clarify that you have to come from a school that has a final that is a proctored final exam, which means it's in person, which means that we actually know who's taking the final as opposed to it being at home, and we don't know what happens that way. Our world language program, and Rebecca Rodriguez as their instructional coach, has asked that we add pathways in so that they know. And really what we're looking for, especially is for our DLI students, to see this is where you go in elementary school, this is what junior high or middle school you would lead into, and then these are the courses you would lead into in high school. We hope that that helps with the understanding of, well, if you're in those programs, this is where it's going to lead to, and these are the opportunities that you're going to have when you get into the high school. Another information update that we've changed is course prerequisites in English and math. Traditionally in English, we had a prereq for English 10 of 1 year of English, English 11 of 2 years of English, English 12 of 3 years of English. But in reality, what's happening is we need people to get 4 credits of English within 4 years. So what do we do with kids that fail? Are we going to stick them back in the freshman one and then make them, how do we catch them up? So let me tell you how we catch them up. There's a couple ways. One is we allow concurrent enrollment then. So they would take English 9 and English 10 at the same time. They would have 2 English classes to help make that up. Or summer school. They can go to summer school and make that up. Or we have our RISE lab. Our RISE lab is the way that kids can make up credits through a self-paced online program. And so those 3 different things, but what we never did is say, I'm not going to move you as a sophomore into 10th grade English because you failed 9. What we're saying is we'll find a way to boost your 9 so you can get that credit, but you've got to stay on track and keep moving. Otherwise, you're never getting to 12, and we're never getting those 4 years of English in. The same goes with math. On our core maths and our basic maths, we're doing the same. So that's the reason why we removed the prerequisite, because we wanted to make it match the practice that we're doing. Board Member Anderson?
President Schultz, yes. For these students that are doing dual, or if you would call it, it's not dual, but they're doing concurrent. That's a much better word, thank you. Do they have a mentor? Do they have somebody to help them? Because if they had struggled the first time and now they're moving up and then taking it again, is there a student mentor, a counselor that's checking on them, a teacher, that's somebody that's really helping them through it?
At this time, I don't know if we have that program in place. I know that the counselors are heavily involved because they know who needs to make up those credits and moving on. But in terms of a student mentor or anything, I don't believe that we have those systems in place. But I'll ask. And if I'm wrong, I'll let you know. Okay? Thank you. And finally, when we go to the fees, we look at the dance course fees. Dance was left at $25, where most of our other performing arts were up to $50. We'd like to raise it to $50. For those of you who are dance moms, you know that dance can be very expensive in terms of outfits and different things like that. The same goes when you're in a high school dance class. And so we need those funds as costs have increased and to help. And so we're asking that you increase the course fees from $25 to $50. So when we look at the middle school and we look at the updates in the middle school, once again, you're going to see very few new courses and the information that we're putting on. We're not removing any courses from middle school, but we're taking a look at some new courses. Last year, you allowed us to change so that kids in 7th grade could take robotics. And so what that led is a group of kids in 7th grade that really like robotics, and we didn't have a class for them in 8th grade. And so we're asking that we add an applied technology and robotics class that'll be for 8th graders, so a kid can be in robotics 2 years in a row. Instead of repeating the same course, now we have a second-year course for them. Both of the schools looked at this and agreed and think it would be wonderful, and they know they can fill that course. Secondly, we're going to start and try something at Cooley Middle School I'm very excited about. We have an opportunity because of one of the teachers there that came from a very robust CTE program that we're going to look at pipelining graphic design and photography for the Cooley kids at Cooley and pipeline them into Williamsfield. And so we're asking that we include new courses of graphic design A and B. We use letters instead of numbers because we don't want to get confused with the high school course. And then we look at photography A and photography B. And so our goal is that kids get exposure to these in in the middle schools. Now they can go to Williamsfield and feed right in and truly have a nice feeder into the graphic design and photography programs. And so I know the schools have already been working together and planning on how they can pipeline and get those kids excited early to go in and truly take advantage of the offerings at Williamsfield High School. And so we're asking that we add that. That would be in lieu of 2 of their current, a marketing class and a technology class. And we feel like the new change would add some excitement to what they're doing there. And this is going to be a Cooley-specific pathway. We included the Spanish and Mandarin pathways for the middle schools. Same idea. We want to let people know this is where you're coming from and where you can go when you get to high school. Prerequisites for honors courses. We met and we've come up with, we include in the course guide, it says district approval process. And so what happens is, in order for kids to get into an honors class, they're going to sign up for it. We're going to review their testing data, where they previously came from, and if parents ask for them to be in there, and fill from an honors from that perspective. We know with the expansion of GATE a few years ago that we have kids coming from all of our elementary schools that are ready and prepared for honors. Now remember, we also have ELAS courses out there, and for ELAS we will continue the same process where kids and parents who want to be in that will sign up, they will take a placement test, and we can use that to place them appropriately. I think one of the hardest things that we do and what we have to be very careful for is misplacing students. And as a high school principal, I've seen it at the back end, and I've seen coming from the middle school. A lot of times we accelerate kids early, and then they get to high school and we run out of classes, or we get to a point where they get stuck. And so it's very important as we go through this placement process within honors that we're looking at a lot of different factors and trying to make the best decision with the parents and with the site administration and with the teachers to set them up for success. And so that's why when you look and say it says the process going through, because it'll be the administration and the teachers working and looking at the prior performance of the students to see if they're prepared. I would ask that any parent who wants their kid in honors to go talk to the principal. And then they can go and look and say, is this the best decision that's there? Is this the best decision for your kid? And if it is, let's make that happen. And so that's for the middle schools. Finally, when we look at HVA, and if Mr. Dolan's listening online, I would like to give him huge props for what he does in leading this program. 3 years ago, we basically have built this out of scratch. And through this, we have learned where do we need to add courses? What courses do the kids want? How can we continue to expand and the vibrancy of our program? And we're very proud of HVA and the role that it plays within our district. New courses that we're asking to add are ones that we need for electives, especially at the high school level. I didn't say for high school in each of those 5. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot I'm in charge of clicking. I get talking and I get pretty excited. So when you take a look at it, we have Visual Arts 1 and Visual Arts 2. We've done it for the middle schools, but actually it's an appropriate level for the high school as well. So we want to offer that opportunity for our high school students. Quantitative reasoning, physical science, and sociology are already courses that we offer in person We just want to be able to offer them online, and we have not done that previously, so we'd like to add those to the HVA. Peer counseling / college and career readiness is helping fill that ECAP void online. So in talking with Mr. Dolan, what happens is students are not just looking at how to get into college, writing their resumes, what prepares them for college, but it's also career-oriented as well. And it's a survey course that they take for 1 semester. And in reality, it's a lot of juniors. It's a lot of juniors who are getting ready to go and apply for college. And how do I explore applying for college? What a college is going to be appropriate for me? How do I prepare for that? And then after college, how do I get a career? And so it's been a very successful, it's called peer counseling because that's what Florida Virtual, where we get our curriculum, calls it, and it's the college and career readiness portion for our online students. We're asking to remove 1 course, business keyboarding, a definite lack of interest, and we felt like the curriculum was not rigorous enough for our middle school students. I think what we're seeing in general, a lot of these courses, business keyboarding, for example, or an introduction to computers, as our kids have gone up through elementary school, they are getting exposed to that so much that really in reality, we're going to look at the middle schools and it probably won't be included for very much longer. An important thing that we need to know, parents need to know right away, and so we put it right up front in the course guide, is that there's an additional requirement at HVA. You have to take in-person finals and state testing. It's required and it's in person, and we need parents to know it right at the beginning. There are times when you have to come to campus and you have to take your tests. And so Mr. Dolan offers a large variety. They use labs that are at Power Ranch, and they come in and they take those tests in person, and especially taking the finals, because then it's a proctored final exam, just like what we're asking for accepting credit from an out-of-district online school. And state testing is required, and so they have to come in and take their state test in person. There are not ways for them to take those exams online and at home. And finally, we're asking that we increase the 7th class fee from $160 to $175. From a funding source, we get funded for 6 periods. If a student wants to take an additional class and take the 7th period online, we encourage that. However, we don't get any funding for it. And so just like summer school, we're asking that they pay the $175 in order to cover the cost of the teacher, cost of the curriculum, any supplies that is necessary for what happens. That only happens if it's the 7th class. We do not allow students to take an 8th class, stop at 7. Now remember, we can have kids that take 4 in person and 2 online. That adds up to 6. They're good to go. They're not paying for those. 3 and 3, 1 and 5, however they want to do it. It's when they get above and beyond and go to that 7th course. That's when those fees are added. So as you can see, we have minimal changes that we're asking to be approved for the 24-25 course guides. And this was our information item. I'd like to answer any questions that you guys have regarding the course guides and moving forward. And we will come back on the 15th for approval. Oh, sorry, today's the 15th. 13th in December, yes.
Thank you for going through all that. I appreciate it. And I also appreciate you explaining what the peer counseling is, because it didn't have a description in there. So I wasn't sure what that meant. Or I assumed it was students counseling students, was my initial thought. But I didn't hear you mention the social media class that was being offered. And I've lost my place. I'm not sure which course guide that was in.
We have a social media class that's in our online HVA school. That was approved last year, and that's been in our course guide and has been offered and approved last year.
And so my concern with that course is, obviously we've held sessions where we try to talk to students about the dangers of social media, and the fact that our Attorney General, along with 33 other states, are currently suing social media, Meta, because of the fact that it's so addictive. And so I do have a concern that we're offering this class, and I feel like it's kind of promoting the use of social media, just because there's so many negative impacts. Mental health, cyberbullying, and just so much more that impacts these kids. So just in the last year since it has been used, I'd love to know how in fact it is being used and what is being taught in the course. And pardon my questions, this is the first time I'm seeing the course guide, so I do have a lot of questions.
So our social media course is a curriculum, again, that's been approved since we opened through Florida Virtual. And so I know with social media, there are definitely ills and negatives there are things with social media. There are also a lot of jobs and different things that approach social media. So if we can teach kids how to use social media appropriately, that would be much better, so.
So that's what we're doing, is teaching them how to appropriately
use it. It's not a course about the dangers of social media. It's how to use it appropriately.
Thank you.
I don't have a question per se. I just want to say I'm super excited about the pathways for DLI and the courses offered to our middle school kids. And there was.
I will be happy to share that with Mrs. Rodriguez. She's worked very, very hard on that, and the credit needs to go to her. Rebecca's wonderful.
Yes, I love that Rebecca has been working on all of that and to make sure parents understand the pathway for that. There was another thing I wanted to say was awesome, but I'll go back to that when I look at my notes.
One more concern I had was the communication skills for our SPED students. I did notice that we are using the CASEL framework for this course, and I have mentioned CASEL before, and I just want to point out that, my concerns still persist regarding the usage of CASEL. I'm just going to read this, what I wrote. Unfortunately, the SEL program that follows CASEL and their deceptive nature, using different terms for similar goals, complicates parents' understanding of what is actually embedded in the curriculum. Despite appearing well-intentioned, the crux of the issue lies in how SEL imparts competencies through an equity lens, essentially adopting a CRT theorist viewpoint. We all want children to be able to have, the ability to control their emotions and achieve goals and make responsible decisions. But the way that CASEL goes about it is not something that I like. And I don't know if there's anything else out there that could be utilized, but it would be nice to be able to have some options there.
Yeah, I understand your perspective on that. We know that this has been a very successful course for us and helpful with our students, with their communication skills within the SPED department. And so our recommendation is that we do keep it the same and keep moving out there.
Thank you.
President Schultz, were you?
Ms. Anderson, no, I was just saying, any additional questions, please.
Thank you. Regarding the middle school graphic design and photography, first, I just want to do a shout out to Devin Adams and Upper Scotto over at Williamsfield. They're phenomenal. My daughter absolutely adores them. But I imagine, I don't know the certification requirements for, Ms. Johnson, if you know, you're outstanding to know the certification requirements for all these, but for a graphic design middle school teacher, is this going to be a hard position to fill? Because I would hope that this would also at some point, if it goes well and produces that excitement and engagement, would be also offered at Sossaman, I would hope. But But if so, I imagine, is it pretty difficult, or are you anticipating some difficulty finding somebody qualified or certified to teach that class?
With middle schools, the qualifications are a little bit different than high school. They're not, we call it CTE, but in reality, CTE is starting when we're in 9th grade, okay? And so the qualifications are a little bit less in order for that. Are we taking advantage of the qualifications of our new instructor at Cooley? Yes, we are. You know, and Mr. Lebsock had developed the program at Higley High, has now moved over there, and he's going to be able to pipeline into Devin and Joe, and really that communication between them, you know, and that's what we want, right? We want our kids sitting in our middle schools excited to go to their high schools and excited to see this is the progression of what I'm learning and where I go. And, you know, I'm getting a little chills right now because I feel like Mr. Cantrell over there has really stepped up to say, how can everyone know that we're a Williams Fields feeder? And we go, and this is one way that we're helping to support. You go to Cooley and you get involved in the DLI, you get involved in the graphic design, and it transitions you smoothly into Williams Field. And so I look, you know, and I think when we have two schools, it's always hard, right? I got two, they're always compared. Okay, there is never a time when it's like, what are you doing at Williams Field? What are you doing at Higley? Right? What are you doing at Sossman? What are you doing at Cooley? Sometimes there is some room for some site-specific things and some site-specific things to go, because I think that also challenges our schools to grow and what's the best that they can do for their kids.
Sure, completely understand. And I just was curious if it were to be offered and the struggles that would, thank you.
President Schultz, I just wanted to express my gratitude to all the staff that took the time to help do that. I mean, having created it, it is feels never-ending and constant, but the benefit is what helps keep us in a position to be competitive. And I think it is so very great to know that as we send our kids throughout our campuses, that we are competitive with not only other schools in our state, but in other schools across the nation. And we're setting our kids up for success by being able to have access to some of these skills that we are, you know, helping to teach and foster here. So I just want to say a great thanks to those who helped create it, because it definitely puts in a lot of time and hours, and it matters.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Wade. I echo those sentiments. And I love that you said that about the middle school and keeping kids engaged through high school, Mr. Latzenizer, because it's very important to keep our middle schoolers engaged.
Yes.
And know how great our middle schools are. Yes. Anything else? Thank you very much for the presentation. Appreciate it. Moving on to 6.2, Proposed Citizen Committee.
Yes, good evening, Board President Schultz and members of the board. This presentation kind of stems off the October 11th board meeting, where we discussed our override reports and our bond reports that are mandated by the state. So a part of that conversation was, you know, looking towards the future and what is next. Some of the conversations stemmed around, how tough a decision that may be to call for that. So we brought forth a recommendation to help ease the burden of the board, as well as get some input from our constituents in our community to help make some of these future decisions regarding our school district and school funding. So with that, this presentation regarding the Proposed Citizens Committee, on a high level, what is the Citizens Committee? It's basically what it is, right? It's a Citizens Advisory Committee, a group of individuals typically comprised of parents, community members, educators, and other stakeholders who come together, study the needs of a district, provide input, feedback, and make an ultimate recommendation to the governing board. The specific roles and responsibilities of such committees can vary. If you recall, in recent history, we've used committees to establish our strategic plan, where we gathered input from various stakeholders, and I think you create a more comprehensive recommendation with that. Again, committee participants can typically include parents, community members, business leaders, teachers, industry experts, and school officials. So what is the goal of this proposed Citizens Committee regarding school funding? So the goal is to seek community input. Again, in our ongoing effort to promote transparency and community engagement, we're proposing the Citizens Committee to seek their expertise and leadership to assist the district and the governing board with critical school funding issues regarding the continuation of our override, which I mentioned is coming to expire in the near future, in 2025, and in any potential future bond elections. So again, the goal of this committee would be to have thoughtful dialogue, be provided with resources, information, facts, and then make a conclusion and a recommendation to the governing board. We established some guidelines to try to get some consensus around the structure of said citizens committee. So we know each governing board is also a voting member, so we wanted governing boards to have representation on the committee. And so the thought is having each governing board member nominate one individual member to sit on the committee. So you guys do have that representation, but then it doesn't remove your vote when said recommendation is coming back to the board for approval. In addition, there would be looking for 10 additional community members selected by district administration through an application process, so for a total of 15 citizen committee members. We'd also have various district administrations sit on this, so there'd be anywhere from 15 to 20 individuals a part of this committee. Now, there were some comments, I think, in public comment, and then I think the board got some emails, but this is the committee members, when they say must live within the boundaries, that's one criteria, or be a parent of an HUSD student. So if they're a parent of HUSD student and live outside our boundaries, that is still allowable in terms of, I apologize, it wasn't very clear on here, but these are or categories. So or work for HUSD. I feel that encompasses like the grand scope of our district, as we have over like 1,500 students that come into our district from out of our boundaries. So that is included, that those are or not, you must meet all the criteria. So when will the Citizens Committee meet? We've established some dates and some recommended timelines. We feel that we're gonna need a number of meetings to provide the facts and the details regarding school funding. If the Citizens Committee needs some education, we want to provide them with all the resources to make a recommendation to the board. So we've allocated some time, 5 to 6. We'll probably stretch a little bit beyond that, as an hour can go really quick. We've designated the boardroom as a perfect venue for this, and then if the board were to approve this, we've established December 13th to bring back some bios to share the Citizens Committee back with the board and announce those members. And then starting after winter break, have a series of 5 Citizens Committee meetings, and then with the April 3rd board meeting, bring a recommendation. And the board does have authority in the board policy. So the policy BDF does allow the board to appoint said Citizens Committee, and we've outlined some of the criteria with that committee to make a little easier on the board. But if the board were to have any changes to what we've kind of recommended tonight, we'd be open to making those changes. You just need to make a motion on the action item. But since this would be a board-approved committee, all of the meetings would be open meeting law, would follow open meeting law, and therefore have an agenda, minutes posted to their website. So anybody not selected for the committee could follow along and be involved in the process, as well as provide input to the committee. We feel that's important to be transparent with that process, and that's why we want the board to utilize this board policy to make action and authorize this committee if you so approve. So that would then, again, make it subject to open meeting law, and I think that satisfied some of the concerns Ms. Van Hook had when we initially kind of talked about it on the October 11th meeting. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Will they have the option to be able to attend the meetings online, like through a Zoom?
Yeah, I think we have the accommodation, the technology to make that possible. So I know those dates. We try to establish those dates early so people can calendar those, but in this world of, everybody being busy, and even later this evening, right, we're doing a virtual meeting, so I don't see how that would be, we can accommodate that.
I mean, it would be great if everybody can be here all together in one room, but it'd be nice just to be able to have that option available for those that can't be in for some reason.
Yeah, I certainly think we can accommodate that.
Thank you.
Will there, President Schultz, will there be any parameters set? Let's say that, I think it might be a very popular committee. I think there might be a lot of people that want to be on this. And an unforeseen circumstance occurs and they cannot continue the membership, if you will. Is it possible to replace them, like have a backup? Or would that seat just go empty at that point?
I think it'll depend on at what point in the timeline that happens, because obviously there's going to be a lot of legwork done to bring everybody up to speed at the same time and provide the same information. So, if unfortunately somebody had to leave, I don't know if we would replace them, just to keep the ball moving forward. So
Sure. And this may sound impolite, but are we going to set a requirement for attendance at all? If this is something that people are applying to and somebody may have missed out on that opportunity, and then one person can only make 2 of the so many meetings, you know what I mean? We say, listen, we really value the input and we would really like for somebody else. I don't know if that's language we want to put in there. Please commit to this if you can commit to this committee.
yeah, I understand. I appreciate that comment. Yeah, I think we can. So again, the plan would be to post this on the website following if the board approves this citizens committee, so we can include that language, because I feel it would be inherently important to be involved, whether virtually or in person, in every single one of these meetings. And so we can include that. I think it would be an expectation upon applying, but we can spell it out, certainly.
I'm sorry, you said they'd be like an hour meeting? Or, I mean, do you have like an idea of approximately how long?
We've set aside an hour. We may extend that to an hour and a half, but we would want to be respectful to everybody's time. So we've tried to be concise. Again, since these are open meeting law, we would have a clear agenda and try to keep these moving forward. Obviously, some work would happen outside of the meeting in terms of maybe sending comments or trying to get information to committee members in preparation, much like we do with the board. The board's provided the agenda ahead of the meeting to try to prepare with any questions, et cetera. We would follow a similar process to keep the meetings efficient and moving again forward. So
wonderful. Thank you so much.
Anyone else? Thank you, Mr. Moore. I'm excited for the Citizens Committee. Moving on to 6.3, first read IMG Animals in School.
President Schultz, members of the board, tonight we're bringing forward a proposed change to policy IMG. We're asking to waive second read and adopt the policy to include one minor change, the word may. We've entered into what's called a 302 resolution with the Office for Civil Rights, and this is the final step requested from the OCR to better our practices when it comes to service animals within the school district. Adding the word may clarifies that the list of functions for a service animal is not exhaustive, but just examples. And the Office of Civil Rights will close the case once this policy is adjusted.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to action item 7.1. I move that we approve voucher 1039.
Seconded.
Questions, comments, concerns? All those in favor? Aye. Aye. All those opposed?
I don't oppose. I just recuse myself from the vote.
Perfect. Motion passes for 401, I think. Moving on to 7.2, I move that we approve the citizen committee.
Second.
Questions, comments, concerns? All those in favor?
Aye. Is the middle mic still on?
Sorry about that. I don't know.
Green, I don't know what that means.
Okay.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Wait, we did that already.
Okay, aye. Motion carries 5-0. I move that we waive the second read and approval of policy IMG, animals in schools.
Second.
Questions, comments, concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. I move that we approve voucher 1035.
Second.
Questions, comments, concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. I move that we approve voucher 1040.
Seconded.
All those in, or questions, comments, concerns? All those in favor?
Sorry.
Oh, question, go ahead.
That's like really painful on the ears, yeah. Sorry. In regards to this, I'm just glad to know that parental consent is obtained before it is used with the students. That's all.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Moving on to 7.5, I move that we, 7.6, sorry. I move the approval of Power Ranch Elementary Science Camp.
Second.
Did you, I missed the second? Okay. Okay. All those in, or questions, comments, concerns, excuse me. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Future agenda items?
President Schultz, I'd like to add policy JK to the future agenda. And then are we going to be bringing the BEDBA, the legal counsel policy?
Yes, Board Member Van Hook, we can do that. I just need
January,
to,
right?
excuse me?
I think it was January, right, or December?
It may be. Can I double check how many things are on December? And also, Board Member Van Hook, can you verify
I'm sorry, that was the wrong
language?
policy.
Huh?
That was the wrong policy.
Oh.
Policy BDG. The language,
That you want to propose, is it what you sent before? Is it?
yeah, and I mean, I would like to be able to get some help to maybe clean it up a little bit.
So maybe if they look at it first, and then we decide, like, we bring what you had, and
Okay.
then everybody can say, yeah, let's do whatever. Is that
Okay.
okay?
And in the meantime, maybe I'll work on
Okay, that
getting
sounds perfect.
the verbiage cleaned up. And then the other one was policy BEDBA. At some point, I'd like to be able to have that discussed as well. And that's the board agenda, board packet policy.
BED, sorry,
BEDBA.
BA. Okay, we'll look at that.
Okay.
Sorry.
And then for policy JK, the only reason I want to bring that up is because it doesn't match statute. ARS 15-843B. The current policy states that the superintendent shall recommend policies, but the statute itself says the governing board. So I want to ensure
Okay,
that
we need to
it
look
matches
at
the
that.
law.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, we will now, I move that we move into work study
Second.
for 10.1 superintendent search. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. We're going to take a few minutes to reset.
Was I supposed to look at it? Oh.